folks. We are back for another You Are Not Your ROAS. I am Rabah, CMO and host. I am with my partner in crime, COO, president, and just overall gem of a human, Max Blank. And we are joined by a titan, an up-and-coming, a dark horse on DTC Twitter, Ash Melwani. Ash, how are you?
Good, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been wanting to chat with you. I've been just enthralled with your feeds of late. First off, I'm in Austin, as always, back home in the marketing HQ. Max is out killing it in Columbus at our proper HQ. Ash, where does this podcast find you?
Yeah, we're in New Jersey at the moment.
Oh,
we're
cool.
in Jersey.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys are familiar with like Kearney, New Jersey. It's like right next to Jersey City, which is right next to New York City. So we're that close to the city.
It's pretty much New York City.
I love that. Yeah. The city has so much energy, man. It's a really crazy city. Speaking of a lot of energy, so you went to school in London, yeah?
Yeah, I did.
How was that? Tell us a little bit about that going, or I guess give us a little bit of background too. So are you from London or?
So I was born and raised in New Jersey. My mom was actually kind of raised in London. She has, her side of the family's there, and we used to travel yearly to visit, grandparents and aunts and uncles. And, right before my senior year, I went around and kind of just wanted to get a feel for the schools over there, because it's a lot different, right? And my mom had gone to school there, and she had said that, it was the best years of her life. And, I always wanted to kind of do stuff that just made me stand out a little bit. So instead of going to school here, I applied to school over there. I went, walked around, did what I needed to do. And, I just fell in love with the city. It's not as, hustle and bustle it is in New York. I think it's that perfect level of excitement for a city. So definitely really cool experience. Met a lot of people. The school itself was mainly international students. So talking, meeting people from all around the world, Asia, Europe, Africa, you name it. I know somebody in another country. So if I'm ever traveling, I know whose couch to sleep on. It was really cool. And I think that's what kind of sparked my interest in just becoming an entrepreneur, because I was hanging around with these high net worth people, whose parents had, their own businesses that they've scaled to billion-dollar businesses. And I'm hanging around with these guys with, a couple bucks in my pocket while they're swiping left, right, and center at the shops and the clubs. And I'm like, I want that. So, I think that's kind of what projected me into that direction of, okay, well, I want to have my own business. I don't want to work for anybody else. If I'm going to do it, I want to do it on my own. And that's kind of why, I stepped out of my comfort zone and went there. And, it kind of gave me a different perspective on life altogether.
I love that. That's fantastic. So when did you start your first business or your first entrepreneurial venture?
Yeah, so it was actually around that time we were in, or I was in London. And I was really big into the sneaker reselling market. And what was really interesting is that my brother was so into sneakers, like Jordans and all those types of shoes, and I could care less, right? I would buy a pair of shoes and I would beat it out, right? So basically he was saying, obviously these shoes dropped, they're limited edition, and you could sell it for 10 times more. When I was in London, I realized the same shoes that were dropping in the US were dropping in the UK, but no one cared about it in the UK. So I would go around the shops over there, buy them up, sell them to the US, and we would make a ton of money. So we made a business out of that while I was there, and it was really interesting to see how that worked.
Was that an eBay play?
But eBay, and then as we had just got into it, and we were talking to just store owners, like resale shops, and we just built a network of buyers who were like, okay, well, if this is coming out this weekend, we'll take 10 of them. And I would just go and fulfill the order before. We would have orders fulfilled before the shoe even dropped. And it was just seamless. And
talk about arbitrage.
It was a lot of fun.
Talk about international arbitrage right there. The original drop shipping,
Seriously.
you know what I mean?
That's
the original alley drop shipping.
That's amazing. Yeah, there was a really fascinating article about I think it was like Nike CMO or some chief executive at Nike, and her son was just flipping, he was just printing money. Another fascinating article too with. So, are you still a sneakerhead? Are you really in that world now, or?
Not really. I mean, if a nice looking Yeezy comes out, I'll go buy that. But I'm not a big collector anymore.
Those worlds are always so fascinating to me because I'm actually dipping my toes into vintage T-shirts, and it's just so odd what drives value. It's kind of similar to NFTs as well, right? It's like it's this local maximum. It's like not what like a global maximum is kind of what everybody thinks about, but it's this local maximum. Like if you're cool in that vertical or niche, it's like Yeezy's a perfect example, right? Like most people would look at that shoe and be like, I don't know. That's not necessarily the most like aesthetically appealing shoe, but like there's so much attached to owning that it kind of conveys this halo effect. That's awesome. Okay, so when did you start obvi, and then how did you get into that? And give us kind of that little growth evolution.
Yeah, so we started obvi 2 years ago, but before that, we actually had a digital marketing agency.
Actually, sorry, let me stop you real quick there, Ash. Tell us actually what obvi is before we kind of go down that path, because some people might not be familiar.
Yeah, absolutely. So obvi is a health and beauty brand that we started 2 years ago. Basically, we saw the market of collagen protein, and came across as this medicinal-like product. The stigma was that it was really for the older demographic, more like reactive purpose to it, right? So collagen protein, collagen is basically what makes up your entire body, right? Your hair, skin, and nails. So that's why you kind of see hair thinning, your skin wrinkles, and brittle nails after a certain age. So you would typically take a collagen protein, 45, 50 plus, more like a reactive measure. But what we saw was that you literally have to start taking collagen in your 20s because your body stops producing it during that time frame. So what better way to hit that target market than something that's Instagrammable, tastes so much better than the rest of the market. And so what we did was we launched 2 flavors right off the bat. Our branding is bright, it's pink. The flavors we launched with 2 flavors: fruity cereal, which is like your Fruit Loops, and Cinna cereal, which is like your Cinnamon Toast Crunch. So you have that feeling of nostalgia when you're actually drinking it, because it's like the milk at the end of a bowl of cereal, right? So we launched that and we sold out in 12 days. And we're like, okay, well, this is definitely something that the market needed. So that's kind of where we started. And, in the 2 years, we expanded that line into, 20 plus flavors. And then also adding different products that kind of tailor to different lifestyles, whether you're looking for something for weight loss, immunity, hormonal balance, or just, energy that you need throughout the day. That's kind of what we dove into, and we just haven't looked back since then.
Wow. Can I ask you a question about the launch? Like, was the launch built up around an existing audience you built, or was it more like an ad play?
Great question.
So, a really good question. So prior to that, we had worked on a lot of supplement brands, but more in the sports nutrition space. So we did have an audience, but it wasn't something that was going to resonate. And essentially, the way that we launched everything was we had a couple of influencers, and we just ran ads right off the bat. And obviously at that time, it was, we had run ads for the last 6 years prior to that. So we had the knowledge of, the media buying on Facebook and how to basically scale. So we launched ads, we had, influencers posting, and we just blew it out in 12 days.
Wow. Is obvi short for I think obvious, was there something going on there?
Yeah, so, yeah, exactly. I mean, obvi is the name of the brand, but it's basically, we just want to be the obvious choice in health and beauty. Cool. And, hopefully we're getting there.
That's so on the nose. I love it. So how did you get into media buying then? It was just the nature of the beast. You start your business and then I don't have the money to hire somebody for ads, so I do it? Or how did you actually, that's how I learned pretty much all my skills was out of necessity.
So basically, me and my 2 founders, we actually met when we were working for another company back in the day, and this company was called Shreds. I don't know if
Is that
you guys are
shoes?
familiar with it, but no, they were a supplement company, sports nutrition,
Yes.
so we did protein,
Peripherally
pre-workouts.
familiar, yeah.
I never heard of it.
If you were around during that time, this is when Instagram was just blowing up, and at the time, they were the ones who kind of pioneered the influencer marketing, right? Like the pay to post on Instagram. When Instagram was chronological, if you posted, everybody saw it. So back in the day, we all started there, and we learned the business from the inside out, working really closely with the CEO at the time. And I had just actually graduated, with a finance degree. I wasn't even in marketing, and I was kind of on the analytics side. So I was looking at the numbers, the day to day, and kind of reporting back. Okay, well, this is working. This isn't working. Why isn't this working? And I was just learning the ideas of what marketing really was. And this was also at the same time Facebook ads just launched. So I was like, I'm gonna test it out. At some point, the algorithm is gonna kick in. There's no more chronological order, and we have to start adjusting. So I started learning the ads from there. Top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, bottom funnel, and like back then, like it was so cheap. I miss those days. It's insane.
Man.
But right after that, we decided, okay, well, we want to do this. If we're building it for one company, why can't we do it for multiple, right? So we left that company and we started our own agency. I was the media buyer. My other partner was the main graphic designer, and then my other partner was all communications and overall strategy. And we put the three of us in a room, and we took multiple businesses to 7 to 8 figures in under a year with just ads, influencer marketing, email marketing, and so on. But then it's like, okay, well, why are we doing it for all of these people when we could just be doing it for ourselves, right? And we took whatever we learned from those industries, the sports nutrition industry, and we really brought that over to the health and beauty, because also at that time the trend in sports nutrition was like the cereal flavors, the really cool flavors for like whey protein, and we're like, well, collagen doesn't have that. It's mainly unflavored. So let's bring over the cool flavors. Let's knock it out with the packaging, and let's just see what happens. And like I said, we sold out in just under 2 weeks.
Wow.
What a cool story. Okay, what are some of the resources that you use to gain all the mastery that you have now? Was it like YouTube or like lynda.com, just to buying for friends? How did you kind of cut your teeth and then get to the place you are now?
No, it's a really good question. Thinking back on it, I think YouTube was okay. I think at the time there was a lot of people who were just trying to build a following, and like the information was very general, and it was all cookie cutter stuff. I wanted to be like, okay, if I'm going to learn, I'm going to do it, right? You learn by doing. And just by doing that is kind of where I've learned, I'm playing with other people's money, right? So I'm learning at the same time. And thankfully, our initial clients trusted us to do so. And, picking it up kind of quickly is what happened. But in terms of resources, I mean, the Facebook groups at the time were massive, Facebook ad buyers. And then the premium one, Ad Leaks, was such a huge thing. Huge fan of, Tim Bird, Nick Shackelford, all these guys had, put out so much value that you couldn't help but just absorb it and want to absorb it, attending some of these masterminds. I was actually lucky enough to win a free attendance to Tim Bird's mastermind, which was incredible. And then watching some of these, conferences that, happen, quarterly, yearly, things like that. But I mean, between that, the Facebook groups, even on Twitter, man. I mean, following some of these guys on Twitter, like they just know their stuff and they're just putting out value. Sometimes I don't understand how some of this stuff is free, but for anybody who's trying to get into media buying, Facebook groups and Twitter is where all the action is at right now.
Man, you read my mind. You must have snuck a look at the show notes, because that was my other question. But okay, we'll close with this on the men's segment. What's the nicest thing someone's done for you?
Oof. That's a tough one, man. I mean, there's a lot of the one thing that really comes to mind recently is as we were talking about earlier, right? I'm trying to kind of get more involved on the Twitter scene. I've been trying to put out value. Like I'm in the office daily grinding, trying to, build this company to, this 8-figure brand that it's becoming. And I just want to like take people along for the ride. Like I want to, show them what's working, what's not working, the successes and the failures. And, I'm lucky enough to be able to talk to Nick whenever, I shoot him a text and be like, hey, what do you think about this? So I was, kind of excited about what was happening on Twitter, and I was growing a little bit. And, that man hit me with a retweet and then another retweet, and I was like, that was it. And I mean, honestly, he didn't have to do that, and I definitely appreciate him for that, because now it's like, okay, people actually want to hear what I have to say, and it's crazy. So definitely want to thank him for that.
Look at that. People helping people. It's powerful
stuff. You feel
stuff.
it a lot. You feel
All
it
right,
a lot
baby.
Twitter space, You feel it a lot.
Yeah, I think Twitter is one of those interesting networks where there's a lot of buy-in costs to it, like kind of following the right people, aggregating stuff. Because if not, you can get I tried Twitter out personally a few years ago, and it was just, I'm such a curious kitty that my feed was useless. And then once I started using it specific for like DTC, e-commerce, marketing, analytics, a little bit of finance, like it really, to your point, Ash, there's like, you'll find some dudes or women with like 50, 100 followers, and they'll drop just like the thread of the year. And you're just like, who is this person? Like everything they're dropping is heat. Like, hey, Alex P is one of my new favorite follows, where she's just constantly, she actually did a whale mail, and you're just like, how? Yeah, there's so many uncovered gems. And I love that idea about action, because that was the same for me. I think there's a certain part where you need to be the general to set the strategy, but then at the same time, you need to take that general hat off and be the soldier and be able to execute that. Because I think a lot of times people will have great strategy, but without execution, it doesn't really work. And then with execution and no strategy, you're just kind of a dummy hitting stuff up against the wall, which sounds like a pejorative, but at the same time, it's more productive than having this fancy strategy that you're not even doing. So I absolutely love that. Okay, let's jump into the value add segment. So tell me now, how do you think of, after post iOS 14, building your DTC brand? Like what are the big kind of opportunities you see, and what are the big headwinds you think are approaching?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that we're trying to focus on now is basically user experience, right? We're talking about congruency from the ad to the landing page to checkout, post checkout, that entire process, right? The truth of the matter is costs are going up, and they'll continue to go up regardless of iOS 14 or this and that, right? If your CPA is going to increase, then you have to increase your LTV. So people tend to stop focusing right after that initial sale. It's like, I got a man, they bought, and then that's that, right? It's like you have to have this whole thing lined up post checkout, right? Someone's going to use your product. You have to explain how they're going to use it. How are they going to fit that product into their life? What are some of the other products that you offer that can benefit them as well? And then how do you get them to continuously use that so that it's become their routine and they can't live without it, right? So I think one of the biggest things that we've started focusing on, at least at the top of the funnel, right, is creative, just nonstop creative. Recently we hired new designers, a new video editor. Shout out to Constant Creative, Nick's, platform. Those things are like so key right now to just pumping out creative weekly. And right before the update, we were being a little bit lazy about it. Things were working really smoothly. We had top performing creatives. We didn't make too many adjustments. We're like, if it's working, don't touch it. And then all of a sudden, the algorithm can't find your buyers anymore. Well, now you have to go out and get them yourself.
Right.
And we took a little bit of a dip, but as soon as we started introducing more creative and testing, things like landing pages. I mean, we have like 4 different landing pages for just one product, right? You have to have different creative that's going to attract different pieces of the audience. You have to have different landing pages of different styles, because different people absorb information differently, right? Like people want to read stuff, maybe they just want to look at stuff, they want to watch something, or they just want to buy right away, right? So definitely testing those pieces and mix and matching is the only way that you can win right now. And then, figuring out the back end stuff. Email marketing is huge. SMS is huge. We're really big with Facebook Messenger right now. And
I haven't heard anything about Messenger in quite some time. It's good to hear about it,
No, it's definitely huge for retention.
Wow.
Not for top of the funnel, but definitely for retention. And then, building out that post-purchase, flow. Like we have our Facebook group, the obvi community. We have 45,000 members in there right now. And it's basically a place where people can come talk about the product, ask questions with other customers. This is not working for me. How do I make this right? Okay, boom. I have a new recipe I want to try. And
how do you moderate that, a group that size, and like really keep people engaged?
We have the best team in the world.
Wow.
Like I'm talking like these originally were diehard obvi customers, and we're like, you guys are like so passionate about the product. Do you guys want to like be a part of the brand? Like, do you want to help facilitate conversations? Do you want to help change people's lives? And the answer was usually yes. Like, of course, I want to be a part of this company that's helped me so much. I want to use the opportunity to help other people. So we have about 10 moderators, 2-3 admins, and they're constantly in the group looking they're helping people out with whatever questions they have.
Do you find that you can leverage this group to, number one, launch new products and like build a pipe and like maybe even offer things exclusively for them? Have you guys found that to be a good play?
No, it's a great question, and like the answer is like 1,000% yes. Basically, we're using this group for insights into what our consumer wants and basically needs, right? They're the ones that are suggesting sometimes new flavors that we're coming out with or products that they want to see. But basically, everything starts with the group. Yeah. We're coming out with something. We announce it. Me and my partner Ron will go live on Facebook. Whenever we have an announcement, people join in the group. Yeah, on the page.
So cool.
And yeah, we have like 300, 400 viewers at a time, which is amazing. I don't know who wants to watch me, but 300, 400 viewers at a time, and we're announcing these products, and people are like, "Oh my god, I can't wait for this flavor, this and that," and it blows up in the group, right? And that's organic reach. The fact that we're able to reach our entire group organically instead of sending out an SMS, which costs money, email, open rates aren't that great anymore. But being able to reach your consumer like right there and then without added cost is so huge for brands.
Every time I speak to a founder and they have found out that this group is really some secret sauce, I'm saying like, how would you rate this group if you had to just 1 to 3? Email list, SMS list, group. Like, what would be number one for you?
I mean, I would say SMS, right? In terms of just purely like revenue driven SMS, because you're reaching everyone, right? You're reaching every one of your customer list. I think group, I would say about 35 to 40% of our total customer base is in this group. And so like, but even then when you start, posting and things like that, the reach is insane. So I would put SMS, group, email at the moment.
Yeah, it's like underrated. The groups. There's not a lot to talk on.
Hugely underrated.
Yeah, and you don't even need like a huge critical mass. So I have somebody is about 6K, 7K. It's beard products and stuff, and it is popping. Like it's like people love it. There's tons of stuff like, and it's cool because there's a certain vector of family, like camaraderie, where it's like sometimes it's not even like beard talk. People post cars or people, and that's when I think your group has really taken the turn for like that flywheel of awesomeness has finally started up. And to your point, Ash, you can throw in 2 or 3 moderators, maybe comp them with some product. And then have them kind of keep the streets clean, if you will, and the porch dusted to make sure that, there's not a lot of nonsense going on in there. But I've found that to be, and you can actually start to do, I think, some targeting to Facebook groups as well. So there's some interesting things going on there. One thing I did want to touch on though was, so for the messages, are you just doing sponsored messages then? Or how are you getting out to these people without like paying for them? Or do you just send an email with a link in there to have them start a flow? Or how are you? Because I used to be a huge messenger guy, and then there was just so much restriction in terms of how you can touch them, when you can touch them, or that sounds weird, but when you can message them, how you can message them, that kind of thing. And then those kind of restrictions really started to blow things up. And then also costs started to become attached, right? Not at an SMS level, but whether you're using ManyChat, Chatfield, or something like that, there is some sort of cost in terms of running those, especially because there are a lot of times they're list based in terms of pricing. So how do you deal with that, or how do you capitalize on all that?
Yeah, so the biggest strategy for Messenger at the moment is we're running ads for personalized product quiz, right? So we built out the whole flow of like, what's your goal? You know, like what's your age, weight, this and that, like what do you want to accomplish? And then the whole thing, it's like this massive flow that we built out. And that's one of the entryways to being part of the Messenger. Then the second way is also just kind of building out that list. So anytime we're about to launch something, it's like we're running sponsored message ads where it's like notify me when this is available. So it's just another additional touch point of you're going to get a messenger blast, you're going to get an email blast, you're going to get an SMS blast, push notification on our app as well. So like we're hitting people throughout the day whenever we launch something, and it's just being able to reach your customer at any given time is, I think it's super invaluable at the moment.
I remember.
And Messenger is hugely underrated.
I remember, like, I think we touched on this before, Rob, but I was doing Messenger when it first launched, let's say like 6 or 7 years ago, and there was no rules yet. Like, the only rule was like, and it was just like an ATM machine. And you had to, you couldn't, it did not last. First of all, like, it was not good. But like before they were figuring out what to do, it was wild stuff.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I remember those days, man. You could literally hit anybody at any time. And then...
100%. And you can, once they're into that 24-hour window, you can technically like just touch all of it. Yeah, it got really wild really quick. But that's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. I might have to revisit that because I have a bigger messenger list, but I haven't done any sponsored stuff. Okay, so how do you see the landscape of paid media kind of evolving into, in the next year or two? We kind of have a thesis about a mini CMO emerging where there's going to be essentially a barbell effect where the agencies in the middle are kind of going to have a really big challenge. You're still going to have, your big percent of spend agencies handling these big accounts, but I think there's going to be a migration of value, if you will, to kind of these micro shops where you can go there and they can actually track you all the way down to net profit level, and they partner with you more so where, you pay them a fixed retainer. It might be a little more, but you don't have to give up any of your profits and ad spend, but they're also very analytical versus right now. I think there's a lot of
channel-specific buyers that are fantastic, but it's hard for me to see
how channel-specific buying kind of goes forward. Do you have any thoughts there or color in the lines around that?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of these bigger agencies will probably, I don't know, it might, and tell me if you think I'm wrong, but I think the bigger agencies are probably going to be the ones that stick around. I think mainly because of what they're capable of offering. Right? I think media buying is not just media buying anymore. Like you have to balance that from the creative, the copywriting, to the landing page, conversion rate optimization, for actual checkout, and then post-purchase, right? You have to think about the whole flow. It's not about just getting that buyer in that time frame, right? You need, like I said, you need all those elements. You need somebody to look at the data as well and make actionable insights or create actionable items looking at the insights. These boutique agencies where it's like, all right, you're just hiring a media buyer. I don't think that's going to be enough anymore. You need a full team around you, right? Like myself, I'm handling all of our Facebook budget, where I was kind of getting the graphics, like requesting it from, my partner, and then, making changes on the website myself. But like at this time, it's very difficult to do all of that just by yourself, right? So you need multiple designers, you need an editor, you need like somebody looking at the data and just the data and being like, okay, well, this is what we're seeing, this is what we have to do. Because if you have to do that all on yourself, one, you're going to go crazy. Two, it's like you're not going to be efficient as you used to be. So I do think those bigger guys are probably going to end up kind of sticking around, but mainly because they're offering other services probably within their main, offering, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's similar to my thesis as well, where the other thing is I think there's a lot of agencies and I'll get probably wrapped on Twitter, but right now they're overcompensated for the value they're generating. And if they don't move into that kind of analytics, partnership, strategic role at the business level, not just at the Facebook channel level, right, it gets really challenging just because, the economics just start to not work. And those bigger agencies also have a bigger overhead. So they have to balance that out as well. But yeah, I see that kind of in the same place. So you're talking about a lot of your creative velocity. I agree. Creative velocity is one of the lifebloods to a Facebook account. Can you, how do you do creative testing, or how do you think about that? You say you launch on a weekly cadence. Give us some more insight there.
So one of the biggest things that we started doing now is we have 3, pieces of content that we collect weekly, right? We have a content team of over 20 women that we've kind of, handpicked from the Facebook group, people who are just, VIP customers, and some influencers who we reached out to, but they're now obsessed with the brand. Mm-hmm. Basically, we have this content team of 20 women who, at any given time, are like, all right, here's a brief, here's a product. Give us, we need a video. We need a UGC style video. Tell us how you've loved the product, or how you take the product, the results you've seen, basically your routine with it. And these aren't just random influencers who are seeding out, packages too, and they're doing an unboxing. We're talking about women who actually use the product, right? So it's a little bit more organic than, I just got this in the mail, it tastes really good, blah, 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 right? That's not going to cut it anymore. So 20 videos a week of, specific content for whatever product that I'm trying to push. So that's one set of it. And then 2, we have our graphic designers who are coming up with different, static ads. Whether that be, product images that are benefit focused, recipe focused, different just ways to kind of showcase how the product works, and the design elements of that, because different styles of graphics will appeal to different people. So that's the second type. Then we have the video editor, who's basically taking everything and just pumping out different variations of, whether it's a mashup of the UGC stuff that we just got, or slideshows between the static images that we got, or taking stock footage and mixing it in with whatever we have, and just this plethora of just content that we're dumping, and spitting out variations for us to try. So ideally, what I'm trying to do is weekly, and I do this every Monday. I come in, I have a folder ready for me, prepared by the team, of all the pieces of content that I'm going to test for that week. Basically what I've been trying to do is figure out the best way to efficiently test all these creatives, and then obviously pull out the winners and put them into our scaling campaigns. But basically every Monday I'm testing every piece of creative. I'm testing creative against what landing pages work versus product page. Trying to test different pieces of ad copy as well. So there's a lot of testing that goes on Monday, and 90% of it is not good, but 10% is all you need to just keep going for the next couple of weeks. So that's pretty much how we handle creative at the moment.
That's great. That's a fantastic answer. That's wonderful, man. Okay, just a few more questions before we get into rapid fire. Is Facebook still the best place to start buying ads if you're a new business?
It's definitely. I think the cost to entry is very high right now. Because even when we're testing new creative, the cost is insanely high. So I can only imagine what it would be for new brands. I wouldn't write it off at the moment. I would still, if you have a budget, just know that you're going to blow through it. But you're basically spending money to learn. But what I would suggest some brands do is, a lot of these platforms like TikTok, the organic reach is just unmatched at the moment. And we're trying to figure out our niche in that platform right now. So if you can figure out TikTok and get that organic, traffic, because anytime we post organically, we get sales. Even if it's a couple hundred views, we see sales come in from TikTok. So we're just trying to, how do we go viral on TikTok? That's what we're trying to figure out. But I think if you don't have that big of a budget, TikTok, organic, just follow the trends, make TikToks not ads, and I think you can start seeing some type of traction where you can start allocating more budget to Facebook and spreading it out across the different channels.
Ash.
Yeah, I love that. That's a social savannah, right? Not make TikToks, not ads. I think so. It's a great line.
What is your?
It's a great line.
How much do you do in-house versus agencies or outsourced? Like, what's your team like? Your core team? I'm just curious.
No, it's a great question. So in-house right now, in terms of like the marketing aspect, our video editors in-house, our designers in-house, customer service and, content team management is in-house. Some of these, and Facebook I'm handling, but in terms of other channels like Google, TikTok, Pinterest, we kind of like the founders, like we don't necessarily, we're not experts in those fields, right? So I'm not even going to try. So, kind of handing it off to those guys, but wherever, and email as well.
That's in-house.
We have an agency for email. Just mainly because like those are the things where it's like, we're not the experts in those fields. There are experts in those fields and those should be the ones that are, tackling our stuff. So that's how we're currently set up.
Okay.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, let's see. Yeah, so that was my last question, so let's move on. Okay, cool. You've made it through the first 2 segments, Ash. Congratulations. Well done, well done. Okay, strap on your armor, and Max is going to take you through the rapid fire.
All right, you ready for this? Oh, boy. Here we go. Okay. Facebook ads, overrated or underrated?
I think it's properly rated.
That's a fair answer.
Here you go. Dynamic creative, overrated or underrated?
I think it might be underrated.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. Do you want to give it, should I give you my,
you can rap about it if you,
Okay, yeah. I think at the beginning it was very difficult because it's like, you don't know the optimal, level of, okay, how many creatives should I test? How many pieces of copy should I test, right? I think if you're trying to test one variable, I think it's very underrated because, you're not overlapping the audiences, you're not competing with yourself. So I think it's very underrated. And in fact, I just started a test last night utilizing dynamic creative. I saw a thread earlier on Twitter trying to test something out, but I think it's definitely underrated because I don't see anybody talking about it.
That's how I test as well.
Okay, Indian food in London, overrated or underrated?
Oh, underrated as hell. I miss that food so much. I don't know what it is, but the British people know to make Indian food.
Wow.
The rest of the cuisine's trash over there, but the Indian is so good, supposedly.
Crazy.
Yeah, I had a British roommate for a while.
Okay, being the founder of a business, overrated or underrated?
I think it's overrated because it's I have my own business, and people are like, oh, you have your own business. It's not easy. No. It's really not easy. There's so many things you have to think about. No, it's definitely something to be proud of because if you do, find your way, I think it's very impressive. But anybody can say this is the new Twitter buyer, IG buyer, founder in this company, and you haven't made a sale yet, So
yeah, sure. It's like getting the t-shirt before the sale, right?
Yeah, VC.
Entrepreneur, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, LinkedIn, overrated or underrated?
I think it's underrated. I think for a lot of people who are trying to grow their social presence, I think LinkedIn has that exposure where you can post something and organically you'll start being seen by a lot of people in that industry. The
quality of the leads you could generate from there in a sense, or connections is high. And just from Triple Whale's perspective, we've had we don't focus on LinkedIn at all. It's been mostly Twitter. Back to our original conversation, the whole thing was built off Twitter. Yeah. We've had some spillover onto LinkedIn, and we have 1 or 2 posts, and it's generated the most leads per post I've ever seen.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I definitely agree. I think there's a certain niche on there too. We were talking about earlier, where I think marketing Twitter is massive.
Yeah.
But I think CEO LinkedIn is even bigger.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just the connections you can make there are even better than the ones you can make on Twitter.
Yeah, it's well put.
Favorite meal and why?
I love pizza.
Okay.
I just love pizza. That's it.
Any kind of configuration? Any particular configuration?
I mean, New York style pizza.
Configuration.
You know what I mean?
Never heard someone say configuration when it comes to pizza. I like that, Alan.
How do you like the configuration?
Maybe my dashboard, I configured a certain way.
Hey, we're an analytics company,
That's right.
you know?
That's good. It's good. I like it. Okay, favorite newsletter?
Oh, come on, Melwani.
Oh, wow. Shout out to Rob there.
Yeah,
Let's go.
Shout out to Rob.
No, you guys are actually killing it. I mean, I have you guys, and I also have the DTC newsletter that I have in my inbox.
Appreciate your support, Ash, from like day one, I think.
Oh, of course, triple whale all day.
Favorite place to travel to and why?
I got two. I really, pre-pandemic, used to go to London every year.
You know,
Haven't been able to go back. Haven't been able to see my grandparents or my aunt and uncles. But hopefully soon, you know. But usually, I really love going to Cancun in Mexico. Something about it. I just love the beach.
Awesome.
I love, just chilling,
awesome.
doing absolutely nothing. That is just, sometimes you need it.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Favorite way to spend your time?
I think when I'm out of the office, which is rarely now, a big Call of Duty player.
Fantastic.
Oh, what platform?
I got a PlayStation 5 that, usually.
Fancy.
Is that the 5?
I just need to.
What's that? The 5 already? I'm like totally out of the game.
5, yeah. It was so hard to get it, man. It was so hard to get it.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Okay, favorite follow on Twitter?
Ooh.
You can just say it, triple it, not
Yeah, of course.
I can't put it down to just one because there's
Sure.
so many good there's different people for different stuff, right? So it's like I honestly can't even think of a single person that I'm just I can't wait for them to tweet. You know what I mean? There's just several people that people who are just in general, if you're putting out that value where it's where you can actually test the stuff that you're talking about, those are the types of people that I love to follow because it gives me inspiration to try different stuff as well. But,
little nuggets.
I can't. I'm sorry.
Great. No. All right, here's the final question. If you could have dinner with any 3 people, dead or alive, who would it be?
Love to have dinner with Drake, for sure. I just feel like the guy, just when he goes out for dinner, he's just having a great time. Who else, man? I mean, would love to go out for dinner with Tim Cook and maybe set him straight a little bit. And maybe, honestly, maybe even Zuckerberg too. I feel like just seeing what he see where his head is at. You know what I mean? I think I want to get Tim Cook's side. I want to get Zuck's side, and then Drake. I just want to party with. That's it.
Maybe set those guys.
I love it.
Be like, come on, guys. You're just.
We'll bring them together.
Let's take it out of DTC guys.
Music.
You guys are basically controlling all the levers here. Come on, this works somehow.
Exactly.
Maybe a gift card.
Let's talk about it.
Let me get some of them credits, Mark.
Not the 16-cent refund, you get that alert. Here's your 33 cents back from your 10 grand yesterday. Are they smacking us in the face when they do that?
Classic. Yeah.
Feels
there's
like
definitely trolls.
Thank you.
Well, fantastic, Ash. You made it through our rapid fire. You sound no worse for the wear. What a champion you are over there. So tell us a little bit more, I guess, about Obvi. How can people get involved? Where can they buy it? Give us the spiel there.
Yeah, no. So Obvi, I mean, we have our Black Friday sale coming up next Monday.
Yeah.
For the entire month. We're bringing back some flavors, very popular flavors that were seasonal back last year. myobvi.com. So if you're looking for, beauty, weight loss, energy, immunity, you name it, we have the products for it. And most of our products taste absolutely amazing. So definitely try it out if you need to. But if you want to hear a little bit about, marketing stuff from me, you follow me on Twitter at Melwani. I'm not big on LinkedIn. I tried it. Twitter's my thing, or I'm trying to make it my thing. So definitely shoot me a follow. And I promise I won't disappoint you because whatever we're doing in-house is not a secret. I want to tweet it out. So definitely check it out. Check out the brand. You can send me a DM, whatever. I'm open for anything if you have any questions. I love talking to anybody that I can and helping right now. So Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Well, Ash, thank you so much. Go follow him. Go get you some collagen and some energy in your life. That'll wrap it up for us. If you do want to get more involved with Triple Whale, we are trytriplewhale.com. You can snag an invite there or request access. We're at Try Triple Whale on the Twitters. And then what else do we got? I think that's it. Oh, Whale Mail. Obviously, go sign up for Whale Mail. And then I don't know when this is going to drop, but it could be after we have a really cool announcement. So stay tuned there, folks. But thanks so much again, Ash, Max. It's always a pleasure, and we'll see everyone on the flip.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, guys.